My name is Joshua Jaworski, and my PowerPoint is why personal loyalty, institutional loyalty, and integrated loyalty is important to law enforcement. Um, so, what are these loyalties? The first loyalty is personal loyalty. It's considered the lowest form of loyalty. It consists of subordinates taking commands and accepting superiors' directions and wishes. The reason why it's the lowest on the totem pole is because it's the whole point of this loyalty is just appeasing management. When subordinates are just trying to appease management, they're looking at it from more of a individualistic perspective. How can I appease management to get to this position or whatever position they want? So it's kind of a selfish loyalty, and that's why it's kind of considered lowest on the totem pole. Um, Another problem lies in that when you're solely trying to um, appease management, you can't always do your duty correctly as well. So that's the first type of loyalty, and again, it's considered the lowest on the totem pole. Institutional loyalty is organizational nature and constitutes the practitioner's obligation to support the agency's mission and goals. So, um, institutional loyalty is it's not unlike the first loyalty, unlike personal loyalties we just went over. Institutional loyalty is essentially following the rules and regulations of the agency that you work for. It's better in nature. It's considered higher up because you're trying to advance the agency's goals and aspirations rather than your own. So you're upholding the agency's um, morals, if you will, rather than your own. And the next one, and this is considered the best loyalty, is integrated loyalty. Practitioners' obligation to uphold above any other value, constitutional and legal principles, the ideals of the public service and the interests of any third party that might be involved, either locally or globally. And integrated loyalty, because of this, it's considered the best because um, it's again, it's not individualistic, and you're not even basing it off of the department. Well, you are basing it off the agency, but you're also taking in other factors, not just the agency. You're taking in other like third party candidate or third party ideas and principles as well. You're kind of factoring it all in to make the best possible decision. So, with that being said, we're going to go to the pros and cons of these three loyalties. And personal loyalty. So the pro would be wants to appease management, which is always a positive. But again, if that's your only goal, it's often seen as individualistic in nature because that's your only goal. You're looking to appease management to get ahead, or if and another con is that if management isn't ethical or moral in nature, which oftentimes that can be the case, it's not going to um, it's not going to look good for the officer or just in general. If you're just any sort of line of work, personal loyalty is usually not a good way to go. And then institutional loyalty, again, that's kind of a notch up from personal loyalty, wants to uphold rules and ethics of the agency. So, and that's good because you're following, again, the rules and regulation of the agency that you work for. But again, if the agency has poor standards, this may impact your loyalty. And a good example of that is Watergate. They the personnel working under Nixon at the time were technically following um, the the rules and regulations of Nixon's campaign, if you will, and technically they did have institutional loyalty, but because the agency um, gave them improper directions and they had improper procedures and policies, it resulted in a negative outcome. So, institutional loyalty, again, it's better than personal loyalty because you're putting something ahead of yourself. It can result in a negative way. But something to combat that is the CLIA system. CALIA kind of institutes standards that every department should go by. So it steers away from departments utilizing poor techniques to run their department. And then the highest one on the totem pole, being the best one, integrated loyalty. And integrated loyalty, their pros are ethics are based on the individual. And again, the con would be just in contrast. If the individual has poor ethics, it will show or have like a negative outcome. But again, integrated loyalty is so good because you're not basing it on any other party but yourself. And if you have good ethics, well then that's an excellent way to be a good employee or just good practitioner, not just in law enforcement but in any practice. And in conclusion, slide 4. Ultimately, each loyalty has the potential of being positive, but it is up to the individual to utilize them properly to help the agency or department. To me, this is why it's so important to have a good ethical and moral foundation before you go into the workforce or get a career. Again, this is pertaining to any career, not just law enforcement, but especially law enforcement. Because if you do not have proper morals and ethical behavior, it'll show. And these 3 loyalties could be actually good if you have good ethical and moral base, but if you don't, the cons will show. And that's all I have.